10 simple tricks to instantly improve your wealth. Let's get straight to it. Wealth is not something you chase, it's something you allow. And the truth is, most people spend their entire lives running after money while unknowingly pushing it away. They don't realize that money responds far more to energy, alignment, internal clarity, and emotional neutrality than to effort alone. At every moment, you're either attracting wealth or repelling it, not through luck or skill, but through the way you think, feel, decide, and respond to life. You clicked on this video because a part of you knows there's more available to you. More abundance, more ease, more freedom. And deep down, you also know that something has been blocking that flow. Not something external, not the economy, not your job, not competition. Something within. A subtle, unconscious pattern that shapes everything you do with money. This video is your moment of clarity. Your chance to shift the internal blueprint that has quietly controlled your financial reality for years. So, take a breath. Open your mind. Let this feel like a conversation between friends. One where someone finally tells you the truth about wealth in a way that clicks. No fluff, no vague theories. Just principles that actually work, backed by psychology, neuroscience, and the lived experiences of real millionaires. Once you understand these principles, your relationship with money will never be the same again. Let's begin. Topic 1. Wealth begins the moment you stop treating money as the enemy. If you truly want to increase your wealth, the first thing you must confront is the emotional story you've attached to money. Because whether you've noticed it or not, you already have a relationship with money, and it's one that started forming long before you ever touched a dollar. Every argument you witnessed as a child about bills, every conversation about people who have too much, every moment you watched your parents worry about money, those moments shaped your nervous system, your beliefs, your expectations, and those expectations quietly run your financial life today. Think about it honestly. When the idea of more money comes up, how do you feel? Do you feel excitement or tension? Expansion or pressure? Possibility or fear? That first emotion is everything. It reveals whether your subconscious sees money as safe or dangerous, supportive or stressful, abundant or scarce. And here's the secret most people never learn. Money cannot flow to someone who sees it as a threat. Your mind will block it. Your emotions will reject it. Your decisions will sabotage it. This is why someone can earn 6 figures and still feel broke, while someone else with modest income slowly becomes wealthy. Money does not respond to need or desperation. It responds to inner stability and alignment. When money feels safe in your system, when receiving it feels natural instead of overwhelming, your behavior, habits, and perception shift automatically. You stop repelling opportunities without realizing it. You stop undercharging yourself. You stop shrinking when people ask about your rates, and you stop apologizing for wanting a better life. Look at some of the wealthiest self-made individuals on the planet. Oprah Winfrey did not begin her rise to wealth with money. She began with a shift in identity. She often says that the moment she stopped believing that success was something she had to chase, everything started coming toward her. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in a garage with nothing guaranteeing success except a calm internal certainty that value would eventually attract wealth. That sense of calmness around receiving is a key pattern among high-level wealth creators. They don't panic about money, they don't chase money, and they certainly don't resent it. They let it flow. Now compare that to the emotional patterns most people carry. Think of how often you've heard people say things like rich people are greedy, money changes people, wealth corrupts, I'm just not good with money, or making money is stressful. Every one of these phrases trains your subconscious to protect you from money. Because if wealth equals greed, your mind will keep you from becoming wealthy. If money equals stress, your body will avoid it. If success equals judgment, your system will sabotage your opportunities. Your brain will choose emotional safety over financial growth every single time. This is why internal alignment must come first. If the idea of earning more triggers fear of responsibility, fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of losing it all, you will repel wealth unconsciously. You might work harder, but your progress will always feel like walking uphill through mud. You might earn money, but you won't keep much of it. You might want opportunities, but you won't fully act on them. The sabotage won't be obvious, but it will be consistent. Hesitation, procrastination, underpricing, accepting less than you deserve, saying yes when you should say no. holding back when you should leap. One of the most powerful transformations wealthy people talk about is emotional neutrality around money. Neutrality means money no longer triggers anxiety or guilt. It no longer defines your worth. It no longer creates internal conflict. It becomes simply a tool, an amplifier of your intentions, your generosity, your self-expression. When you reach neutrality, wealth begins to grow naturally. Opportunities feel easier to notice. Decisions feel clearer. You feel less reactive and more strategic. You stop treating money like a test you're always failing and start treating it like a partner that supports your expansion. A well-known investor once shared that his biggest wealth breakthrough didn't come from a new strategy. It came from a moment of self-awareness. He realized that every time he made money, he felt a wave of guilt, like he didn't deserve it, like he was taking from someone else. That guilt shaped every financial decision he made. After recognizing it and releasing it, his investments began to grow exponentially. And it wasn't magic. It was alignment. When you feel worthy of wealth, wealth has a place to go. Your nervous system is one of the most powerful financial tools you have. If money feels unsafe, you'll sabotage. If money feels supportive, you'll expand. This is why you must train yourself to receive, not just money, but compliments, opportunities, support, generosity. Someone once said, "The way you do anything is the way you do everything," and it is absolutely true with receiving. If you struggle to receive small things, your system is not prepared to receive abundance. Wealth begins the moment you stop treating money as something that threatens you, embarrasses you, or controls you. From this moment forward, begin letting money feel like something that belongs in your life, something that responds to your clarity, your value, your energy, not your fear. When you stop seeing money as the enemy, money stops running from you. And when money stops running from you, everything in your financial life begins to change, quietly at first, then dramatically. This is the starting point of all wealth. Topic 2. Your wealth multiplies the moment you understand the power of micro-decisions. If you want to know the real reason wealth feels slow or impossible for most people, it comes down to one simple truth. They underestimate the power of small decisions repeated every single day. People wait for a big opportunity, a huge breakthrough, a life-changing moment that suddenly transforms everything. But wealth, real, lasting, exponential wealth, is rarely created in dramatic moments. It's created in the quiet, invisible micro-decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, yet compound into monumental results over time. Think about how you started this week. How many tiny moments shaped your money reality without you realizing it? The moment you chose to buy something unnecessary because you were stressed. The moment you postponed a task that could increase your income. The moment you said yes to something you didn't want to do because you didn't value your time. The moment you scrolled instead of learning. The moment you doubted yourself instead of sending that message, applying for that opportunity, or raising your hand when something aligned appeared. Wealth is shaped not by occasional brilliance, but by the consistent alignment of tiny choices. Let's ground this in something real. Warren Buffett is considered one of the greatest investors of all time. Yet if you analyze his financial journey, nearly all of his billions didn't come from genius ideas. They came from decades of small, disciplined, boring decisions compounded over time. He didn't get rich because he found magical opportunities. He got rich because he treated every small decision as a seed. And this is what most people misunderstand. They think small decisions don't matter because the effect isn't immediate. When they skip learning for a day, skip saving for a week, skip improving their skills for a month, skip applying effort for a season, the impact is invisible at first. But compounding works both ways. Small positive choices accumulate into wealth. Small negative choices accumulate into limitations. Look at any millionaire who built their wealth intentionally, and you will see a story of micro-decisions. Jeff Bezos famously said that Amazon didn't become successful because of a handful of big decisions. It became successful because of thousands of small ones. Decisions about how to treat customers, how to reinvest profits, how to price products, how to improve logistics. All tiny choices that built an empire. The same principle applies to your personal wealth. Every time you choose growth over comfort, clarity over avoidance, intention over impulse, you're building the financial identity that eventually shifts your entire reality. It doesn't feel big while you're doing it. It feels ordinary, almost too ordinary. But that's the secret. Wealth hides inside the ordinary moments of your life, waiting for you to choose differently. Micro decisions also influence something even deeper, your internal narrative about who you are. When you make consistent choices aligned with wealth, your identity begins to shift naturally. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles. You stop feeling like someone who hopes things will improve. You start seeing yourself as someone who creates opportunities, someone who chooses wisely, someone who builds wealth intentionally. That identity shift, slow, subtle, quiet, is what eventually opens the door to bigger and bigger opportunities. There's a powerful example from Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx. She talks openly about how, before she ever built a product or company, she trained herself to make tiny, courageous decisions every day. She said no to small things that drained her energy. She reached out to people even when she was afraid. She chose to spend time learning instead of complaining. She practiced doing the uncomfortable thing in small doses, long before she ever faced the huge challenges of building her business. By the time the big opportunities came, she had already become the kind of person who could handle them. The small decisions built the internal capacity for the major decisions. This is where most people misunderstand manifestation. They think manifestation is just visualizing or hoping. It's not. Manifestation is the accumulation of micro decisions aligned with your desired reality. You can visualize wealth all day long, but if your daily decisions align with fear, avoidance, procrastination, self-doubt, or emotional spending, the energy is mismatched. Your subconscious sees the contradiction and maintains the old reality. Wealth does not grow where internal conflict exists. Micro decisions close that gap. They tell your subconscious, this is who I am now, not next month, not next year. Now, when you choose to put money in investments instead of impulse spending, that's a micro decision. When you choose to read instead of distract yourself, that's a micro decision. When you choose to speak confidently about your rates, your goals, your value, your skills, that too is a micro decision. Every small choice rewires a part of your financial identity. And here's what happens when these micro decisions accumulate. You begin to see opportunities you never noticed before, not because they suddenly appeared, but because you finally became the version of yourself who can recognize them. Your reality expands at the exact pace your identity expands. This is not spiritual poetry, this is psychological fact. Think about someone like Elon Musk. People often focus on the massive, bold decisions, building rockets, revolutionizing electric cars, creating global companies. But underneath those massive moves were years of tiny, daily choices. Reading obsessively, questioning assumptions, saving money, staying curious, pursuing ideas during hours when others were resting. His big decisions were only possible because of thousands of micro decisions that strengthened his belief system. So the question becomes, what micro decisions are shaping your wealth right now? Are they decisions aligned with your future or reactions based on your past? Are they choices that elevate your identity or habits that reinforce your limitations? Wealth multiplies when you take responsibility for the small things. When you look at your day and ask, is this decision aligned with who I want to become? That one question, asked consistently, transforms people. It removes confusion. It eliminates excuses. It gives you a roadmap, and it upgrades your financial vibration faster than any external strategy. When you start treating small decisions as wealth-building moments, your entire world shifts. You stop waiting for miracles and start becoming the miracle. You stop hoping for breakthroughs and start creating them. You stop fearing money and start directing it. That's the power of micro decisions. They look small, they feel small, but they create a future so big that one day people will look at your life and call it luck. And you will smile, knowing the truth. It wasn't luck. It was alignment, repeated in thousands of quiet moments that no one will ever see. But that changed everything. Topic 3. Wealth grows faster. When you stop losing power to emotional chaos. Wealth is never just about money. It is about the emotional foundation that either supports or destroys your ability to create, hold, and multiply abundance. What most people don't realize is that before they ever lose money in a bank account, they lose it energetically. They lose wealth through emotional leakage, the slow, quiet draining of inner power caused by stress, comparison, resentment, insecurity, fear, guilt, and unprocessed emotions. Every time you allow these forces to take over your mind, you weaken your ability to make clear decisions, act confidently, and stay committed long enough for wealth to grow. Think about how many opportunities you lost, not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't emotionally grounded at the time. You hesitated when you needed to move. You doubted yourself when you needed certainty. You felt overwhelmed when clarity was required. You gave up when steadiness was needed. Emotional chaos turns every simple task into a mountain and every decision into a source of anxiety. Wealth cannot grow in that environment. Abundance requires presence, steadiness, and internal space. And emotional chaos fills that space with noise. The truth is that emotional leakage affects your financial life in ways you don't consciously notice. It shows up when you procrastinate important actions because you're afraid of being judged. It shows up when you undercharge because you don't feel worthy. It shows up when you stay in draining environments because you fear change. It shows up when you spend impulsively to soothe discomfort instead of dealing with the real issue. It shows up when you compare your path to other people's timelines and lose motivation. These patterns might seem normal, but they are incredibly expensive, not just emotionally but financially. Wealth builders understand something that most people overlook. Emotional stability is a form of financial intelligence. A calm mind sees opportunities faster. A grounded mind makes better decisions. An emotionally strong person recovers from setbacks swiftly instead of spiraling into self-doubt. Look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs and investors in the world. Their biggest advantage is not just strategy, it is emotional mastery. They can tolerate uncertainty. They can handle pressure. They can remain focused while others crumble. That emotional capacity is what allows them to step into opportunities that others are too overwhelmed to see. Take Howard Schultz, for instance. Before Starbucks became a global phenomenon, he faced rejection after rejection from investors who couldn't see what he saw. Most people would have taken that personally, lost confidence, or abandoned the dream. But Schultz didn't let emotional pain drain his purpose. He channeled it into clarity and determination. He stayed emotionally grounded, not because the circumstances were easy, but because he refused to let temporary resistance dictate his identity. That emotional resilience allowed Starbucks to exist at all. Without it, the idea would have died long before it had a chance to thrive. Emotional chaos destroys potential long before finances even come into the picture. When your emotional world is unstable, you cannot think long-term. You cannot take strategic risks. You cannot show up consistently. You cannot create momentum. You are too busy trying to feel safe to focus on growth. And the problem is, you may not notice how much energy you're leaking daily. You just feel tired, unfocused, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. But these symptoms reveal the emotional cost that keeps your wealth from expanding. But something extraordinary happens when you begin to reclaim that emotional power. One small moment of emotional awareness can shift the trajectory of your entire financial life. When you choose to breathe instead of react, you reclaim power. When you choose not to take things personally, you reclaim power. When you choose boundaries over pleasing everyone, you reclaim power. When you choose clarity over drama, you reclaim power. And that power becomes available for wealth creation instead of emotional survival. Many millionaires practice routines that seem simple: journaling, meditation, silence, reflection, not because they are trying to be spiritual, but because they understand that emotional clarity leads to financial clarity. When your internal world stabilizes, everything external begins to follow. You make decisions faster. You move with more confidence. You take aligned action instead of reactive action. You stop doubting every step. You stop wasting energy trying to manage chaos. You step into a higher version of yourself that naturally attracts opportunities. This is why some people reach extraordinary levels of wealth, while others with similar skills stay stuck. It's not always intelligence. It's not always talent. It's emotional capacity. Those who can stay grounded under pressure rise. Those who collapse under their own emotions repeat the same financial patterns for years. Wealth requires the strength to hold expansion without letting fear shrink you back into the past. When you stop leaking emotional energy, the shift is immediate. You feel lighter, clearer, more aligned. You start noticing solutions where previously you saw problems. You regain the ability to strategize. You regain the ability to believe in your future. Wealth begins to grow the moment you stop abandoning your emotional needs. Because a regulated nervous system is one of the most powerful wealth tools you will ever possess. At its core, this truth is simple. You cannot build a wealthy life with a chaotic mind, and you will never hold on to abundance if your emotions constantly drain your power. Once you learn to stay emotionally centered, no matter what happens around you, you unlock a level of prosperity that once felt out of reach. Emotional mastery is the doorway to financial elevation, and the moment you step through it, wealth begins to expand faster than ever before. Topic 4. Your wealth expands when you live as the future version of yourself today. There is a moment in every wealthy person's life when everything shifts. It doesn't happen when they make a certain amount of money, land a major opportunity, or achieve a breakthrough. The shift happens the moment they stop living as the person they used to be and start living as the version of themselves who already has the life they want. This is one of the most misunderstood principles of wealth, yet it's one of the most powerful. Most people wait to become wealthy before acting like a wealthy person. But those who rise understand that the identity must shift first, long before the circumstances catch up. The truth is simple. You cannot create a new financial reality while holding on to the same identity that created the old one. Wealth does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you decide to become. Every decision you make signals to the universe, to your subconscious mind, and to the opportunities around you what you believe you deserve. And if your actions reflect the identity of someone who is still struggling, doubting, shrinking, or hesitating, wealth won't stick to you. It can't. The frequency doesn't match. When you study self-made millionaires, you notice that many of them began living as their future selves long before they achieved any success. They didn't fake wealth, they embodied alignment. They upgraded their habits, their discipline, their mindset, their environment, their conversations, and their standards. They acted in partnership with the life they wanted. They began speaking differently, walking differently, thinking differently, not because they were pretending to be someone they weren't, but because they were becoming the person they were meant to be. One powerful example is Jim Carrey. Before he was famous, he would drive to a hill overlooking Los Angeles, visualize his future, and imagine directors wanting to work with him. But he didn't stop at visualization. He wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and carried it in his wallet. But again, that wasn't about pretending. It was about alignment. He made decisions, practiced his craft, and pursued opportunities from the identity of someone whose success was inevitable. Years later, he received a movie role that paid exactly that amount. The check became real, not because of luck, but because he aligned his daily actions with the identity of his future self long before the evidence existed. This principle applies to you as well. If you want wealth, you must begin acting like the version of yourself who already has clarity, discipline, confidence, and financial intelligence. That doesn't mean spending lavishly or pretending to live a lifestyle you can't afford. It means embodying the internal qualities of your wealthiest self. It means waking up with purpose, speaking with conviction, making decisions with intention, valuing your time, healing your beliefs, elevating your standards, and committing to growth even when it's uncomfortable. Many people never experience this transformation because they are emotionally attached to their old identity. They cling to habits that keep them small. They repeat stories that limit their potential. They surround themselves with people who reinforce their fears. They maintain environments that match their past instead of their future. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The truth is, you cannot step into abundance while your life is designed to sustain scarcity. Your future self is not just a fantasy, it is a blueprint. It's the version of you who has already figured out how to generate wealth, how to manage it, how to multiply it, how to live with clarity, how to move with certainty. When you connect with that version of yourself, you create a shortcut to transformation. You stop guessing what to do. You stop feeling lost. You stop hesitating. You simply ask, how would my wealthiest self respond? And then you respond that way now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. This might mean choosing discipline when your past self would have procrastinated. It might mean saying no to distractions your past self indulged in. It might mean raising your prices when your past self would have apologized. It might mean applying for opportunities your past self felt unworthy of. It might mean investing in yourself when your past self feared failure. Every time you choose the future version of yourself over the past one, you signal to your subconscious mind that the old identity is no longer running your life. Look at companies like Google, Apple, or Tesla. Their founders didn't wait for the world to believe in their vision before they started acting like industry leaders. They believed it first. They lived in the identity of innovation before the world validated it. They made decisions that aligned with the future they were creating. They hired people based on the company they intended to build, not the one they currently had. They invested in ideas the world wasn't ready for yet. Their identity preceded their success. Their confidence preceded their evidence. This is exactly how personal wealth is built. Money flows to the identity that can hold it. If your identity remains rooted in fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, you will unconsciously push opportunities away. You will hesitate on risks that could change your life. You will shrink when abundance asks you to expand. But when your identity shifts into the version of yourself who knows how to handle wealth, money begins to trust you. Opportunities begin to trust you. The universe begins to trust you. Your future self becomes the magnet that pulls you into a new reality. The most powerful thing you can do right now is allow yourself to become the person you know you are meant to be. The version of you who stops apologizing for wanting more. The version of you who no longer lowers your standards to make others comfortable. The version of you who moves through life with clarity, purpose, and confidence. The version of you who knows that wealth is not a distant dream, but a natural expression of your evolving identity. When you start living as that version today, your reality begins to rearrange itself around your new frequency. People treat you differently. Opportunities appear that never existed before. Decisions become easier. You feel more grounded, more capable, more aligned, and wealth begins to flow, not because you chased it, but because you became the person who naturally attracts it. Wealth expands when you stop waiting and start becoming. Your future self is ready. The question is, are you willing to step into that identity now? Topic 5. Money flows to those who protect their energy and environment. One of the greatest truths about wealth, and one that most people never fully understand, is that money doesn't just respond to action. It responds to the environment you live in and the energy you protect. You can have the best strategy, the best ideas, and the strongest desire to succeed. But if your environment drains you or your energy is constantly being pulled in the wrong direction, wealth will struggle to take root. Your environment is either multiplying your potential or suffocating it. And until you take control of the space around you, physically, emotionally, socially, and mentally, you will continue to feel like you're swimming upstream, no matter how hard you try. Look at your life right now. Think about the room where you work, the home where you live, the people you speak to daily, the noise you feed your mind, the routines you repeat without thinking. These elements shape your wealth more than you realize. When you live in environments full of clutter, chaos, or emotional turbulence, your mind becomes overwhelmed and unfocused. When you surround yourself with people who complain, doubt, and operate from scarcity, your nervous system absorbs that energy. When you consume content that reinforces fear, negativity, or hopelessness, your subconscious begins to accept those messages as truth. Without meaning to, you begin living inside a reality that shrinks your potential before you even try to expand it. Some of the wealthiest individuals in history have spoken openly about the importance of creating environments that support their growth. Marie Kondo became famous for her philosophy that physical clutter creates emotional clutter, and emotional clutter creates mental chaos. But long before she made that idea mainstream, millionaires intuitively understood it. They keep their environments clear, intentional, and supportive because they know that money flows more easily in spaces where energy is not scattered. They guard their time, their focus, and their emotional boundaries because they know that their inner world fuels their outer world. Steve Jobs, for instance, was known for maintaining a minimalist lifestyle, not because he didn't have the resources to live extravagantly, but because he understood that simplicity created mental clarity. With fewer distractions, he could think bigger, innovate deeper, and stay centered on vision rather than noise. This wasn't about tidiness. It was about protecting the energetic container that allowed creativity and success to flourish. When you free your environment from chaos, you free your mind from unnecessary burden, and a free mind becomes a powerful wealth generator. But environment isn't just physical. Your emotional environment plays an even bigger role. Think about the emotional atmosphere you allow yourself to live in. Do you tolerate relationships that drain you? Do you allow negativity to influence your decisions? Do you let other people's fears limit your dreams? Wealth requires courage, and courage cannot grow in an environment where your energy is constantly under attack. Every time you tolerate emotional pressure that doesn't belong to you, every time you listen to people who operate from scarcity, every time you explain your dreams to people committed to misunderstanding them, you leak power. You lose momentum, and without momentum, wealth cannot expand. One of the greatest lessons from successful entrepreneurs is that they outgrow environments that can't support their future. Oprah Winfrey often says that one of the hardest parts of her success story wasn't building wealth. It was learning to remove herself from environments and relationships that were not aligned with her purpose. She realized that staying in those spaces would have kept her small. So she created emotional boundaries, elevated her circles, and built an environment where her dreams could breathe. That decision changed not just her career, but her entire destiny. Your mental environment matters just as much. The thoughts you repeat daily shape your financial identity. If your environment constantly reinforces fear, you think in scarcity. If your environment constantly reinforces growth, you think in possibility. Wealthy individuals are extremely intentional about what they allow into their minds. They consume books, podcasts, and conversations that elevate them. They avoid content that triggers doubt or drains ambition. They choose mental inputs that align with the future they are building. The neuroscience is clear. Your brain becomes what it repeatedly consumes. If your environment feeds you limitation, your mind will produce it. If your environment feeds you expansion, your mind will mirror that too. Wealth is as much about curating your mental world as it is about taking action. You can't create abundance from a mind filled with noise and fear. And then there's your energetic environment, the invisible atmosphere you carry within yourself. You can feel it when you walk into a room. Some people uplift the space immediately, others drain it. Wealth responds to energy that is grounded, calm, intentional, focused, and open. If your energy is constantly anxious, chaotic, or defensive, opportunities won't feel safe approaching you. Energetic alignment attracts abundance, because abundance requires space. When your energy is scattered, you have no room to receive. When your energy is centered, money flows more easily to you. This is why protecting your energy is not just self-care. It is a wealth practice. When you say no to distractions, you protect your focus. When you remove yourself from toxic people, you protect your emotional power. When you create a work environment that inspires you, you protect your creativity. When you choose silence instead of noise, you protect your clarity. And clarity is one of the most valuable currencies in the world. Companies like Google are obsessed with designing environments that support creativity and productivity because they know that human energy is their greatest asset. That same principle applies to your personal wealth. You must design your environment, internally and externally, to support the version of you who is building the life you want. Imagine your future self walking into your current environment. Would they feel inspired, supported, energized, or would they feel confined, drained, or distracted? If your environment does not match the future you desire, then your environment must evolve. Because wealth does not grow where energy is leaking, and money does not multiply in a life that feels heavy. When you protect your environment, you protect your potential. When you protect your potential, wealth becomes easier to create. This shift alone can change the momentum of your entire financial journey. Money flows to those who create space for it, those who respect their time, those who guard their energy, and those who refuse to allow chaos to rule their lives. Your next level of wealth is waiting for you to create the environment where it feels safe to land. Topic 6. Wealth accelerates the moment you learn to detach from the outcome. One of the greatest paradoxes of wealth is that the more desperately you chase it, the further it runs. And yet, the moment you detach from the outcome, not by giving up, but by releasing emotional desperation, money begins to flow more easily into your life. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood principles of prosperity. People assume it means indifference or lack of ambition, but in truth, detachment is the highest form of trust. It is the ability to move with intention, commitment, and clarity while allowing the universe, timing, and alignment to do their part without force. Most people push wealth away not because they lack opportunity, but because they cling too tightly to fear-driven expectations. They become emotionally attached to specific outcomes, timelines, and results. They become tense and anxious when progress seems slow. They judge themselves harshly when things don't unfold quickly enough. They obsess, overthink, and panic when the universe is simply rearranging circumstances behind the scenes. In this state, their energy becomes suffocating, and money resists suffocation. Wealth grows where there is space, not pressure. To understand attachment, think of a gardener planting seeds. The gardener doesn't dig up the soil every day to check if roots have formed. They don't panic if the sprout isn't visible immediately. They trust the process. They nurture the environment, not the seed. They water the soil, not the outcome. And in time, life emerges exactly as it should. Wealth functions the same way. You plant intentions with action. You nurture them with consistency. But you don't pull at the roots, demanding they grow faster. That desperation kills momentum. One of the most powerful examples of detachment comes from Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. Before his company became a global giant, he faced enormous rejection. Schools, employers, investors, even the police force turned him down. If Jack Ma had attached his worth or future to those rejections, he would never have taken the next step. But he remained detached. He didn't collapse. He didn't internalize the rejection. He didn't force success to show up immediately. He simply kept moving, kept acting, kept learning. And his calm detachment allowed him to stay available to the opportunity that eventually changed his life and the world. Detachment is the emotional posture of someone who knows their success is inevitable. It's the energy of someone who understands that timing is not rejection. Silence is not failure. Delay is not denial. When you detach, you stop trying to control every detail and start collaborating with the bigger forces at play. You move your part of the puzzle while trusting the universe to place the remaining pieces. This ease creates a frequency of abundance, and abundance responds beautifully to ease. People often sabotage wealth because they become emotionally entangled with the fear of, what if it doesn't work? This fear drains power from their actions. It creates a vibration of scarcity, even when they're trying to act with abundance. They send emails, but with fear. They invest effort, but with doubt. They make plans, but with hesitation. Their energy contradicts their intention. The universe responds to energy, not logic. When you detach from the outcome, your energy becomes pure. Your actions become bold instead of fearful. Your decisions become intuitive instead of reactive. You move from pressure to possibility. This principle is visible in the world of investing as well. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men alive, is known for his patience. He buys stocks and allows time to work, without obsession or emotional volatility. His detachment from short-term results is part of what makes him successful. He doesn't panic when a stock dips. He doesn't refresh charts every minute. His calm confidence creates clarity, and clarity creates wealth. Most people, by contrast, become emotionally attached to every rise and fall, and this emotional instability leads to impulsive decisions that cost them more money than they realize. But detachment doesn't mean sitting still and hoping for the best. It means showing up fully, doing your part, taking aligned action, and then letting go of the internal tension that suffocates opportunity. It means doing the work but releasing the need to control how the reward arrives. It means trusting that what is meant for you will find you, as long as you stay open rather than rigid. How many times in your life have things worked out in ways you couldn't have predicted? How many times did something you thought was a failure lead to something better? How many times did the universe redirect you towards something you didn't know you needed? Detachment is what allows these redirections to happen smoothly. When you cling to one specific outcome, you close the door to all the other possibilities that could be even better than what you imagined. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you squeeze tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. If you hold your hand open, the sand remains. Wealth is the same. When you squeeze, when you cling, stress, panic, or obsess, prosperity slips away. When you open, when you trust, breathe, and release, the flow becomes natural. Take a moment to think about an area of your financial life where you've been holding too tightly. Maybe it's a goal you're forcing. Maybe it's an opportunity you're afraid to lose. Maybe it's a timeline you're pressuring yourself to meet. What would happen if you detached? If you trusted the process? If you allowed things to unfold with ease instead of fear? You would feel lighter instantly. You would regain emotional power. You would create space for inspiration to enter. And that space is where wealth grows. The universe responds quickly to people who are clear in intention but relaxed in expectation. These are the people who attract money unexpectedly, who receive opportunities out of nowhere, who get sudden breakthroughs. It's not luck, it's alignment. Their energy is open enough to allow abundance to land without obstruction. When you detach, you don't weaken your desire, you strengthen your magnetism. You become the calm, grounded, confident version of yourself who naturally attracts opportunities instead of chasing them. You act from inspiration, not fear. You make decisions from power, not panic. And your entire financial reality begins to shift. Wealth accelerates when you let go of gripping and start trusting. This doesn't mean doing less, it means doing differently. It means moving from tension to flow. When you detach from the outcome, you stop becoming the obstacle in your own path. You make room for wealth to finally find you. And when it does, it feels effortless. Not because it required no work, but because you stopped fighting the very process designed to bring it to you. Topic 7. Wealth expands. When you understand the law of energetic exchange, one of the most profound truths about wealth, yet one of the least understood, is that money is not just a financial transaction. It is an energetic exchange. Every dollar that comes into your life carries meaning, intention, and vibration. Every dollar that leaves your life also carries intention and vibration. Wealth is not about accumulation alone. It is about the flow of value, energy, contribution, and alignment. The moment you understand this, you stop seeing money as something you get and start seeing it as something you circulate, something you allow to move through your life with intelligence and purpose. Most people misunderstand money because they've only been taught the mechanical side of it: budgets, savings, bills, income. But money has a spiritual dimension that influences everything. If your intention behind earning money is fear, scarcity, or survival, then the energy of your money will reflect that. It will feel heavy. It will feel unstable. It will disappear quickly. But if you earn, spend, and circulate money from a place of clarity, expansion, and purpose, your wealth will grow with a momentum that feels almost magnetic. To understand the law of energetic exchange, think about how you feel when you pay for something. When you buy something out of guilt, obligation, or fear, the energy is depleted. You feel smaller afterward. Your vibration drops. But when you pay for something that aligns with who you are becoming, something that expands your life or supports your growth, the energy increases. You feel empowered, elevated, clearer. Wealth responds to that expansion. The wealthiest individuals in the world understand this. They spend money with intention, not impulse. They invest in things that elevate their identity. They pay for services that create time and clarity. They put their money into environments that match their future. They support ideas, people, and opportunities that align with their values. Their spending is not a loss. It is reinforcement of the reality they are creating. Look at someone like Tony Robbins. Before he became a global force in personal development, he spent almost everything he had to attend the workshops and programs that shaped his mindset. He understood, even when he was young and broke, that every dollar he invested into his growth was a declaration of who he was becoming. That energy set the foundation for the abundance he later created. He wasn't just paying for knowledge, he was exchanging energy with his future self. Many people, however, sabotage their wealth by blocking the flow of energetic exchange. They cling to money out of fear, which signals scarcity to the universe. They refuse to invest in themselves because they don't believe they are worth it. They underprice their services because they doubt their value. They say yes to jobs that drain them because they fear losing income. These actions send a clear message. I do not trust the flow. I do not trust abundance. I do not trust my ability to earn more. If the energy behind your financial decisions is fear, the universe will match that frequency. That is why you may feel stuck financially. Not because you lack money, but because the energy of your relationship with money is rooted in fear instead of trust. The law of energetic exchange becomes powerful when you approach money decisions differently. When you charge for your work with clarity and confidence, you are honoring the value you bring to others. When you invest in yourself, you are strengthening your identity. When you spend with intention, you are directing your energy toward expansion. When you circulate money in alignment with your purpose, you are opening channels of abundance. Wealth grows where energy flows freely. Imagine you're running a business. If you constantly discount your prices, overgive, or apologize for charging, the energetic exchange becomes imbalanced. You will feel resentful, drained, or undervalued. This imbalance will show up in your finances. But when you charge what aligns with your worth and serve with excellence, the exchange becomes clean. The energy is balanced. Both parties feel elevated. This is the foundation of sustainable wealth. You can see this principle clearly in companies that operate from a place of value and alignment. Apple charges premium prices not because they are greedy, but because the energy behind their products is built on quality, intention, design, and experience. People are willing to pay because they feel the energetic exchange. They receive something that elevates their life. Starbucks, Tesla, Netflix, Nike, each of these companies understands that money is exchanged when value is clearly communicated and energetically aligned. They don't apologize for their prices. They stand behind the energy of their creation. The same applies to your personal life. Every time you spend money on something that aligns with your growth, books, education, health, mentorship, tools, you strengthen the energetic flow of abundance. Every time you give or donate from a place of joy rather than obligation, you reinforce the vibration of generosity. Every time you receive money with gratitude rather than guilt, you validate your worth. These are not abstract ideas. They are psychological and energetic truths that shape your financial reality. The law of energetic exchange also teaches you that hoarding money out of fear is not the same as building wealth. When you cling tightly to money, your energy contracts. You move from possibility to limitation, from creativity to survival. Wealth does not grow in contraction, it grows in expansion. Wealthy people do not spend recklessly, but they also do not suffocate their money. They allow it to move with purpose. They allow it to grow. They allow it to align with their vision. Think back to a moment when you invested in something meaningful, a course, a coach, a business idea, an experience that changed your perspective. Notice how that investment elevated you. Notice how it shifted your identity. Notice how it expanded your life. That expansion is the essence of energetic exchange. When money is used to elevate your life, it returns multiplied. This is why the universe responds so powerfully when you elevate your standards around money. When you treat money with respect, money respects you. When you invest in your growth, opportunities appear. When you value your work, clients value you. When you circulate money with intention, abundance circulates back. Wealth is not about taking. It is about exchanging. It is about becoming part of the flow. The moment you stop fearing the movement of money and start honoring the energy behind it, everything changes. Your self-worth increases, your clarity sharpens, your opportunities expand, and money begins to flow into your life not as a struggle, but as a natural response to your alignment. The law of energetic exchange is one of the most powerful secrets of prosperity. When you master it, money stops being a source of stress and becomes a channel for transformation. The question is not whether money will flow to you, it will. The real question is, are your exchanges clean enough for wealth to stay? Topic 8. Your wealth skyrockets. When you master the art of taking intelligent risks. If there is one behavior that separates people who build extraordinary wealth from those who stay stuck in the same financial patterns for years, it is their relationship with risk. Wealthy people do not fear risk. They understand it, evaluate it, respect it, and use it to their advantage. They don't jump blindly into the unknown, nor do they cling desperately to safety. They operate in that sweet spot where courage meets clarity, where intuition meets strategy, where action meets intelligence. This is the art of taking intelligent risks, and it is one of the most important skills you can ever develop if you want to expand your wealth. Most people grow up conditioned to avoid risk at all costs. They are taught to prioritize safety, predictability, and stability, even when those very things keep them broke, unfulfilled, or trapped in a life that doesn't match their potential. They stay in jobs that drain them because the idea of leaving feels too uncertain. They hide their talents because exposure feels risky. They avoid investing because they fear losing money. They turn down opportunities because they don't feel ready. They live in a constant loop of hesitation, driven not by logic but by fear disguised as responsibility. But here's the truth. Every wealthy person you admire is where they are today because they took a risk that others were too afraid to take. Not a reckless risk, but a calculated one. a risk that required courage, a risk that demanded trust, a risk that moved them into a new chapter of their life. Wealth is not built in comfort zones. Wealth is built in spaces where you are expanding, emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually. And expansion always requires some degree of uncertainty. Think about the story of Jeff Bezos leaving his stable job to start Amazon. At the time, the internet was new, unpredictable, and far from a guaranteed path to success. His friends and even some mentors thought he was making a mistake. But Bezos famously said he used a regret minimization framework. He imagined himself at age 80, looking back on his life, and realized that the biggest regret would not be failing. It would be never trying. That clarity helped him take an intelligent risk. Today, Amazon is one of the most valuable companies in the world because someone was willing to step into uncertainty with intention and strategy. Intelligent risks are not emotional reactions. They are decisions rooted in vision. They require you to see beyond immediate discomfort and recognize long-term potential. They require you to trust your ability to adapt, grow, and learn. They require you to stop underestimating yourself. Every time you take an intelligent risk, you strengthen your identity. You become someone who expands instead of shrinks, someone who leads instead of follows, someone who creates instead of waits. But most people misinterpret risk entirely. They believe risk is dangerous, when in reality, stagnation is far more dangerous. Staying in the same place year after year is the biggest risk of all because it guarantees the future will look exactly like the past. You cannot expect abundance while clinging to decisions rooted in fear. You cannot expect success while avoiding anything that challenges you. You cannot expect wealth while choosing comfort over growth. Every wealthy person knows this. They do not fear the discomfort of risk. They fear the regret of staying small. Consider Oprah Winfrey's journey. When she took the risk of starting her own production company, the industry doubted her. No one believed a black woman could build a media empire at that level. But Oprah trusted her vision. She took an intelligent risk, backed by self-awareness, preparation, and determination. That decision created Harpo Studios, OWN Network, and a global legacy that continues to expand decades later. Had she waited for certainty, she would still be waiting today. Certainty is not what creates success. Decision is. The art of intelligent risk-taking begins with knowing the difference between fear-based avoidance and intuition-based caution. Fear says, "Don't do it. You're not good enough." Intuition says, "Wait, this needs more clarity." Fear shuts doors. Intuition guides you. Intelligent risk-takers know how to distinguish the two. They check in with their emotions, ask better questions, gather information, consult their vision, and then act despite discomfort. They understand that discomfort is not danger. It's evolution. Wealth responds to people who make bold, aligned moves. When you take an intelligent risk, you signal to the universe that you are ready for the next level. You disrupt your old patterns, you expand your mindset, you attract new opportunities, you build new skills, you grow into someone more capable, more confident, more powerful, and wealth flows to power, not forceful power, but internal power. The biggest breakthroughs often come from risks that seem impossible at first glance. Think about Elon Musk, investing nearly all his fortune into SpaceX and Tesla, even when both were on the brink of failure. People called him crazy, irresponsible, irrational. But Musk operated from a level of conviction and vision most people never experience. He was taking an intelligent risk, not a blind one. He believed in the long-term potential. He trusted his team. He trusted the science. He trusted himself. Today, his companies have reshaped entire industries. Intelligent risk-taking does not eliminate fear. It transforms your relationship with fear. It teaches you that fear is an invitation, not a warning. It teaches you that the life you want will always require a leap. It teaches you that nothing extraordinary happens in your comfort zone. And once you experience the power of one intelligent risk, you become unstoppable. Your courage compounds, just like your wealth. Every time you avoid a risk, you reinforce your identity as someone who shrinks. Every time you take an intelligent risk, you reinforce your identity as someone who expands. Your financial future depends on which identity you strengthen. You were not born to repeat the same year over and over again. You were born to evolve. Risk is the bridge between your current reality and your highest potential. If you want your wealth to skyrocket, you must become the kind of person who steps into possibility even when the outcome is uncertain. You must trust your resilience more than your fear. You must bet on your capacity to grow. And you must understand that intelligent risks are not obstacles. They are pathways. Every wealthy person walks those pathways, not because they are fearless, but because they are vision-driven. Your next level of wealth is on the other side of a decision you haven't made yet. When you decide to make that leap, not blindly, but intelligently, you activate a new future. And that is the moment wealth stops resisting you and starts responding to you. Topic 9. Wealth becomes inevitable. When you build unshakable self-trust, there is a point on every wealth journey where strategy, knowledge, and opportunity stop being the determining factors. Beyond a certain level, the true engine of prosperity becomes self-trust, the quiet, powerful certainty that you can handle whatever your next level requires. Self-trust is the internal foundation of all external success. Without it, wealth slips through your fingers. With it, wealth becomes a natural extension of who you are. Most people fail to build wealth not because they lack intelligence or ambition, but because they do not trust themselves deeply enough to rise. They doubt their decisions, question their judgments, fear their own power, and depend too heavily on external validation. They wait for someone else to confirm that they are capable, worthy, prepared, or ready. This dependence weakens their internal authority, and without internal authority, financial expansion becomes unstable and unsustainable. Wealth requires someone who can lead their own life confidently, not someone who constantly seeks reassurance. Self-trust is not about knowing the future. It is about trusting your ability to navigate it. It is the assurance that no matter what challenge appears, you will find a way through it. It is the resilience that allows you to take a step even when you cannot see the entire staircase. It is the inner stability that lets you make bold moves without collapsing into fear. Wealthy people are not fearless. They are self-trusting. They make decisions with the understanding that if something goes wrong, they will adjust, adapt, and continue. Consider the journey of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. Before she built a billion-dollar empire, she spent years failing, experimenting, and receiving rejection after rejection. But what made her unstoppable was her unwavering self-trust. She trusted her idea when others laughed. She trusted her vision when experts doubted her. She trusted her ability to learn, pivot, and improve. That self-trust carried her through every obstacle. It allowed her to walk into rooms where she had no connections, no background, no credibility, and still present herself as someone who belonged there. Without that internal certainty, her external success would have never materialized. Your self-trust shapes the way you respond to opportunities. People who lack self-trust say no to opportunities that are actually aligned with them because they fear failure. People who possess self-trust say yes to opportunities that expand them because they know they will rise to the challenge. People without self-trust overthink and procrastinate. People with self-trust take action decisively. People without self-trust collapse after setbacks. People with self-trust analyze, adjust, and try again. The difference is not talent, it is identity. Self-trust is also deeply connected to your relationship with failure. Most people avoid taking meaningful risks because they fear making the wrong decision. But wealthy people understand that decisions are rarely right or wrong. They are simply pathways that reveal information. Every decision teaches you something. Every action builds strength. Every setback sharpens your clarity. Self-trust transforms failure from something to fear into something to use. Failure becomes feedback. Feedback becomes growth. Growth becomes wealth. This is why wealthy individuals recover quickly from financial losses while others crumble. They do not fall apart because they never expected themselves to be perfect. They expected themselves to be powerful. They trust their ability to rebuild. They trust their ability to innovate. They trust their ability to rise again. When you trust yourself at that level, wealth cannot destroy you because your power does not come from your money. Your money comes from your power. Self-trust also influences your ability to receive wealth. Many people unconsciously reject abundance because they do not trust themselves to handle it. They fear mismanaging money. They fear being judged. They fear success as much as failure. They fear responsibility. These fears create resistance. Resistance repels wealth. If you believe you will collapse under the weight of your own success, your subconscious will protect you by keeping abundance away. But when you trust yourself to handle more, you create room for more. That room becomes the energetic invitation through which wealth enters your life. One of the most powerful examples of self-trust on a global scale is Oprah Winfrey. She built empires not because she had all the answers, but because she trusted her voice, her intuition, and her mission. She made decisions that seemed risky, but she trusted her ability to navigate them. She created opportunities that didn't exist, but she trusted her ability to rise into them. Her self-trust became her compass, guiding her through every level of expansion. Wealth followed that certainty naturally. Your life expands in direct proportion to the amount of self-trust you build. The more you trust yourself, the more risks you take. The more risks you take, the more opportunities you create. The more opportunities you create, the more wealth you attract. Self-trust is the cornerstone of abundance. Without it, you stay in circles of survival. With it, you step into levels of prosperity that once felt impossible. Self-trust is built through small actions. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you follow your intuition, your inner authority strengthens. Every time you make a decision without overthinking, your self-trust deepens. Every time you take action even when you're afraid, your identity expands. And expanded identity is the foundation of wealth. Think about how your life would change if you trusted yourself completely. Imagine showing up to opportunities with certainty instead of hesitation. Imagine making decisions without spiraling into doubt. Imagine navigating challenges with calm rather than panic. Imagine believing, truly believing, that you can handle anything your next level requires. That version of you would attract wealth effortlessly because wealth responds to internal power. When you build unshakable self-trust, you stop needing approval. You stop seeking permission. You stop apologizing for your success. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You become a force, steady, grounded, expansive. Wealth gravitates toward that kind of energy. Self-trust makes wealth inevitable because it transforms you into someone who moves with purpose, receives with confidence, creates without fear, and rises without hesitation. It shapes your tone, your decisions, your actions, and your destiny. When you trust yourself deeply, fully, and consistently, you become the kind of person who always finds a way, and wealth follows those who find a way. Topic 10. The moment you decide to transform is the moment your wealth begins. If you've made it to this point in the video, something powerful is already happening inside you. Not because you listened to 10 wealth principles, but because each one was designed to wake up the part of you that has always known you were meant for more. Wealth is not something external that you chase. It is not a number you reach or a prize you win. Wealth is a reflection of who you become. It is the byproduct of identity, intention, alignment, and energy. And the moment you decide to transform, not someday, not when life becomes easier, but now, is the moment your destiny begins to shift. Throughout this journey, you've heard truths that many people spend their entire lives avoiding. You've confronted the internal patterns that block abundance. You've explored the emotional roots that shape your financial reality. You've learned how environment, identity, self-trust, and energetic exchange influence far more than income alone. You've seen that risk, detachment, discipline, and intention are not just philosophical ideas. They are the real building blocks of a prosperous life. These insights are not just concepts. They are invitations. Invitations to rise, invitations to expand, invitations to step into the version of yourself who has always been waiting beneath the surface. Because here's the truth. Wealth is not created by the smartest person, the luckiest person, or the most educated person. Wealth is created by the person who is willing to evolve, the person who is willing to confront their limitations, the person who is willing to shed their old identity and step into a future version of themselves with courage, the person who chooses expansion over comfort, growth over fear, clarity over confusion, the person who is willing to take responsibility for their inner world so their outer world can change. Look at every wealthy individual you admire, from Oprah to Elon Musk, from Sarah Blakely to Jeff Bezos. Their wealth wasn't born from circumstance. It was born from decision. A decision to trust themselves, a decision to take intelligent risks, a decision to protect their energy, a decision to embody their future identity, a decision to challenge the narrative they inherited. a decision to build habits, environments, and mindsets that supported their expansion. They didn't wait for signs, they created them. They didn't wait for permission, they granted it to themselves. They didn't wait to feel ready, they stepped into the unknown. Knowing readiness is something you build, not something you wait for. And now, it's your turn. What has held you back until now is not lack of potential. It's the belief that you needed more proof, more answers, more guarantees before taking the first step. But certainty doesn't come before the journey. It is created along the way. Wealth doesn't arrive in your life first. The identity of a wealthy person arrives first. Everything else follows in perfect timing. In this moment, you are standing at the threshold between who you've been and who you are becoming. You can feel it. The old story is losing power. The excuses don't feel as convincing. The fear doesn't feel as strong. Something deep inside you knows the life you are meant to live has been waiting for this exact moment of awareness. This is your turning point, and you will remember it years from now. Imagine your future self, wealthier, calmer, wiser, more grounded, more powerful. Looking back at this moment, they aren't focused on the money in their bank account. They're grateful for the decision you made today, the decision to rise, the decision to expand, the decision to no longer betray your potential by playing small. Every wealthy person has a moment like this, a moment when they decide to stop repeating their past and start creating their future. You are in that moment right now. Your transformation will not happen in a single leap. It will happen day by day, choice by choice, identity shift by identity shift. The micro decisions you make, the environment you create, the emotional energy you protect, the risks you take, the detachment you practice, the self-trust you build. These are the seeds of a wealthy life, and the more you nurture them, the faster your reality will change. Wealth responds to the person you become, not the person you pretend to be. When you embody clarity, wealth expands. When you embody trust, opportunities appear. When you embody abundance, the universe reflects it back to you. The world is not holding your wealth from you. It is waiting for you to rise to the level where you can receive it. There is nothing accidental about wealth. It is intentional, it is conscious, it is aligned, and it begins with a decision that echoes throughout every part of your life. The decision to claim your power. The decision to step into your future. The decision to live with purpose, confidence, and conviction. The decision to believe that prosperity is not only possible, it is meant for you. This is your moment, your shift, your awakening. The beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you no longer chase wealth, but attract it through identity, intention, and aligned action. A chapter where you no longer doubt yourself, but trust yourself deeply. A chapter where you no longer wait for change, but create it. Your wealthy life has already begun. It began the moment you decided to transform. Before you go, take a moment to honor the version of yourself who chose to rise today. And if this video sparked something inside you, if it opened a door, shifted your perspective, or lit a fire in your spirit, then don't let this be the end of your transformation. Make it the beginning. Subscribe to the Success and Prosperity Code channel so you can continue expanding your mindset, your wealth, and your life with every new video. Like this video if it resonated with you, share it with someone who's ready for their own breakthrough, and leave a comment telling me which insight hit you the hardest. Your voice matters here, and your journey inspires more people than you know. Stay committed, stay aligned, and remember, your wealthy life has already begun.